Younger me, if I could sit you down right now, there's something I would tell you that would change everything. But the truth is, I know you wouldn't believe me. Not yet. Because right now, you think you have time. You think life is a straight road that stretches endlessly ahead of you. You think success, happiness, and meaning are things waiting for you in the future. Just a little further down the path, just one more goal away, one more promotion, one more relationship, one more win. But let me tell you something that most people don't realize until it's too late. The road isn't endless. And one day, sooner than you think, you will wake up and realize you're no longer chasing the future, you're standing in it. And when that moment comes, younger me, the questions that haunt you won't be about what's ahead, they'll be about who you've become. See, we grow up in a world that teaches us to wait for life, wait for the right time, wait for the right opportunity, wait until we're ready. But life doesn't wait for you. It unfolds whether you're prepared or not. And the cruelest trick it plays is convincing you that the things you fear losing matter more than they actually do, while the things you keep ignoring, the doubts, the dreams, the shadow of who you could be, those are the things that will matter most. Younger me, you think the measure of a good life is achievement. You think it's about being respected, being admired, fitting in, and proving yourself. But what if I told you that all the success in the world won't save you from emptiness, that no amount of praise will silence the quiet voice inside that whispers, "Is this all there is?" That voice is your future calling you, and it will not stop. But don't think I came here alone. I brought with me a circle of minds that have seen deeper into life than most ever dare. Carl Jung, the man who uncovered the secret self we hide from the world. Abraham Maslow, who revealed that success is never the final destination. Viktor Frankl, who proved that meaning isn't given, it's chosen, even in the darkest circumstances. Søren Kierkegaard, who taught us that fear is not the enemy but the doorway to freedom. Carl Rogers, who showed us that the life you're living might not be the one you were meant for. And Alfred Adler, who believed we are never prisoners of our past, we are the authors of our future. These are not just names in books, they are voices echoing across time. Voices carrying truths that most ignore until the day it's almost too late. But you don't have to wait. You can hear them now. Because here's the reality. Midlife is not a crisis. It's an awakening. It's the moment when the masks you've worn start to crack, when the stories you've told yourself no longer hold up, when the life you built feels incomplete, not because it's wrong, but because it isn't whole. And that's terrifying, because it means facing the parts of yourself you've hidden away, the fears you've refused to name, the dreams you've abandoned because they felt impossible. But it's also liberating, because for the first time, you're not chasing someone else's definition of success. You're not living for approval. You're not waiting for life to begin. You realize it already has. Younger me, you've spent years believing that the version of yourself the world sees is the only one that exists. But Carl Jung is here to tell you a secret: that version is just a mask. Behind it lies the shadow. The unspoken parts of you that you've buried, and until you face them, they will control you. You've spent years climbing ladders, chasing goals, trying to prove that you are somebody. But Abraham Maslow is here to warn you, one day you will look around and realize you built the wrong ladder. You climbed, but you never became. You've spent years chasing happiness, as if it's a prize at the end of a race. But Viktor Frankl is here to show you. Happiness can't be caught. It's not given. It emerges when you live with meaning. You've spent years waiting for the right time to take risks, to change, to leap. But Søren Kierkegaard whispers a truth you've avoided. You will never feel ready. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's the threshold. You've spent years living for others, playing roles, saying the right things, fitting into a life that looks good on the outside but feels wrong inside. Carl Rogers is here to say, you will never feel free until the person you are on the inside matches the life you live on the outside. And younger me, you've spent years believing your past defines you, that the mistakes, the failures, the regrets, the words of others, that all of it is carved into stone. But Alfred Adler is here to remind you, the past is just a story, and you are holding the pen. Younger me, listen carefully. The life you're meant to live hasn't even begun yet, and it begins not when you finally arrive, but the moment you dare to see yourself clearly. Midlife is not an ending. It's the beginning of your real story. And now it's time to hear from the first voice, the one who uncovered the shadow you've been running from your whole life, Carl Jung. Younger me, you've spent so much of your life believing that the person you show the world, the polite smile, the hard-working image, the dependable reputation, is who you really are. But Jung would stop you right there. He would look at you with sharp, knowing eyes and say, that is not you. That is your mask. Jung called it the persona, the version of yourself carefully constructed to survive in society, to be accepted, to be admired. It's the role you play so you can walk into a room without feeling exposed. And for a while, it works. People respect you. They trust you. They see you as capable, reliable, successful. But deep down, you know something is missing. Because no mask, no matter how convincing, can ever cover the whole of who you are. Here's what Jung discovered. Behind every persona lies a shadow, and that shadow is made of everything you've tried to hide. The anger you were told was unacceptable, the doubts you were afraid to voice, the ambitions you thought were too selfish, the sadness you pushed down because it made others uncomfortable. You thought burying these parts of yourself would make them disappear, but they didn't vanish. They went underground. And here's the terrifying part. The more you deny the shadow, the more it controls you. Think about the times you've lashed out and didn't know why. The people who triggered you for no reason you could explain. The jealousy you felt but couldn't admit. That wasn't random. That was your shadow pulling the strings from the dark. Jung warned that most people live as half a person, clinging to the mask while the other half of themselves waits, unseen, unheard, growing restless. And midlife. That's when the shadow stops waiting. That's when the cracks appear, the mask slips, and suddenly the life you've built doesn't feel enough. Not because it's bad, but because it's incomplete. Younger me, let me put it bluntly. If you don't face your shadow, it will devour you. It will twist your desires into addictions. It will turn your fear into anger at the world. It will poison your relationships by projecting what you refuse to see in yourself onto everyone else. And you won't even realize it's happening. That's why so many people in their 40s and 50s wake up bitter, restless, or hollow. They think it's the job, the marriage, the responsibilities. But the truth is, they are at war with themselves. They are haunted by a shadow they refuse to confront. But here's the secret. Jung wanted you to know. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your missing half. It holds the energy, creativity, and power you've been searching for. And if you have the courage to turn toward it, instead of running away, you will find that everything you've been chasing out there, fulfillment, wholeness, meaning, was waiting inside you all along. So, how do you face it? Jung never promised it was easy. He said the most terrifying thing a person can do is accept themselves completely, but he also said it's the most liberating. It starts with honesty. Stop filtering your thoughts to be acceptable. Write down what you really feel, even if it shocks you. Notice what angers you about others, because often that's what you've buried in yourself. Pay attention to the dreams you dismiss as childish or impossible, because those are clues to what you've locked away. Once you see the shadow, don't run. Question it. Understand it. Ask yourself, why have I hidden this? What does it reveal about me? What power have I been denying myself by pushing this away? Slowly, piece by piece, the shadow becomes less of a monster in the dark and more of a guide holding the missing parts of your soul. And then something shifts. You realize you were never broken. You were simply unfinished. The moment you stop fighting yourself is the moment you finally feel whole. Younger me. The shadow will terrify you. It will confront you with truths you don't want to see. But ignoring it is far more dangerous, because until you face it, you will never be free. Remember this. The shadow is the key to becoming everything you are meant to be. And when you finally embrace it, you'll understand what Jung meant when he said, "I would rather be whole than good." Because wholeness is the only real freedom. And once you see that, you'll start to ask the next question. If the shadow is the missing half of me, what else have I been chasing in the wrong places? What if success itself isn't what I thought it was? That's where Abraham Maslow steps in, and what he has to say will shake the very foundation of what you've been living for. Younger me, do you remember the first time you tasted success? The rush of validation? The way it felt to finally be somebody? You told yourself that this was the goal, to prove yourself, to achieve more, to build a life that looked good on the outside. And for a while that feeling carried you. But Abraham Maslow would lean in and tell you a truth that would sting. You were climbing the wrong mountain. Maslow spent his life studying what truly makes people fulfilled, and he discovered something most of the world never understands. Success, the kind we're taught to chase, isn't the end of the journey. It's only the middle. And if you stop there, you'll always feel hollow. He explained it in a way the world now knows as the hierarchy of needs. At the base are the essentials: food, shelter, safety. Then comes belonging, love, connection, community. Then esteem, the recognition, the promotions, the reputation, the applause. That's where most people stop. They spend their lives trapped in those middle layers, working to feel secure, working to be accepted, working to be admired. But Maslow warned that there is a level beyond all of that. At the very top is something few ever reach: self-actualization. And here's the part that will change everything for you. Younger me. Self-actualization isn't about having more. It's about becoming more. Think of the years you've spent climbing, the long hours, the sacrifices, the endless need to prove yourself. It feels good in the moment. But one day, and it comes faster than you think, you will wake up and wonder why the ladder you've been climbing doesn't lead anywhere worth going. Not because your achievements mean nothing, but because you've mistaken the means for the end. Younger me. Maslow would tell you this: the people who feel the deepest sense of purpose aren't the ones who won the most trophies. They're the ones who became the truest version of themselves. For some, that means leaving behind a career that no longer fits. For others, it means finally embracing creativity, or choosing family over status, or trading a paycheck for peace of mind. It's not about abandoning success, it's about redefining it. True success is not when the world applauds you, it's when your soul does. But here's the hidden truth. Maslow never said outright, most people never make it. They get stuck in the middle. They stay trapped in comfort, paralyzed by fear, lulled by routine. They keep proving, keep performing, keep pretending, until one day they realize they've built a life that looks solid on paper, but feels strangely empty. That's why so many people hit midlife and feel restless. It's not failure. It's not weakness. It's a call. a call to rise beyond the checklist version of life and step into something deeper. It's not about chasing anymore. It's about choosing. So how do you know if you're stuck? Ask yourself this. Am I still chasing success, or am I living in a way that feels truly fulfilling? If your answer is the first, it's time to rethink everything. Self-actualization doesn't come with applause. It doesn't arrive with a promotion or a standing ovation. It shows up quietly in the moments when what you do and who you are finally align. It's the peace of creating something because it matters, not because it's profitable. It's the joy of choosing love and connection over image. It's the freedom of knowing that you no longer need to prove anything, because becoming yourself is the only proof that matters. And here's the paradox. Younger me. The moment you stop obsessing over success is the moment you finally find it, not in money, not in status, but in the quiet certainty that you are living the life you were meant for. But I'll warn you, it's a hard transition. The world will tell you to keep climbing, to keep hustling, to keep proving. Your fear will whisper that if you stop, you'll fall behind. But Maslow would tell you the opposite. If you keep chasing without becoming, you'll never catch what you're truly looking for. So here's the challenge. Stop asking, what do I need to achieve next? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because one day, younger me, the applause will fade, the titles will mean less, and the house, the car, the image, none of it will be enough. And in that silence, the only thing left will be you. And if you've ignored that question, if you've built everything around success but never discovered who you are, then emptiness will be all that greets you. But if you've answered it, if you've dared to shift from proving to becoming, younger me, success is not the summit. It's just a checkpoint. And the journey doesn't end there, because once you've let go of chasing and started becoming, the next question rises. If happiness isn't in achievement, then where does it come from? That's where Viktor Frankl enters the story, and what he learned in the darkest place imaginable will forever change how you understand happiness, suffering, and the meaning of your life. Younger me, you've spent years chasing happiness like it's a finish line. You believed that if you just worked hard enough, earned enough, loved the right person, or lived in the right place, then finally you would arrive. But let me ask you, did you ever truly feel at peace? Or was there always that quiet, nagging voice whispering, "Is this it?" That voice, younger me, is the reason I want you to meet Viktor Frankl. He lived through horrors that most of us cannot even imagine. He survived the Nazi concentration camps, where he lost his family, his career, his freedom, everything that should have made life bearable. And yet, in the middle of that nightmare, Frankl made a discovery that shattered the world's understanding of happiness. Happiness, he realized, is not something you chase. It's not something you earn. It's not even something you can hold on to. Happiness is what emerges when your life is filled with meaning. Frankl watched people who had nothing, starving, beaten, stripped of dignity, still hold on to something the guards couldn't take away. Some found meaning in love, remembering the faces of their families, keeping them alive in memory. Some found meaning in work, the idea that they still had something important to contribute to the world if they ever made it out. And some found meaning even in suffering itself, deciding that if they had to endure pain, they would endure it with dignity, turning their agony into a form of defiance. It wasn't the strongest who survived, Frankl noticed. It wasn't the healthiest. It was the ones who had a why, a reason to live. Younger me, this lesson matters more than you know. Because you've been chasing happiness in things, titles, achievements, possessions, but none of them will ever be enough. The job you worked for years to get will one day feel hollow. The recognition that once thrilled you will fade faster than you expected. The house, the car, the clothes. They can fill space, but they cannot fill you. Because happiness is not something you get. It is something that comes naturally when your life is aligned with purpose. So, what does that mean for you? How do you create meaning when your life feels ordinary? Or worse, when it feels stuck? Frankl gave us 3 paths. The first is through work. Not just any work, but work that serves a purpose bigger than yourself. It doesn't have to be glamorous or world-changing. It could be raising a child, building a community, or creating something that outlives you. What matters is that it feels like contribution, that you are adding to the world rather than just passing through it. The second is through love. Not just romantic love, though that matters, but the deep, soul-shaping love that comes from friendship, kindness, and shared experiences. Frankl believed love is what allows us to truly see another person and to be seen. And younger me, if you have no one who knows the real you, then no matter how successful you appear, you are not truly living yet. The third, and this is the hardest, is through suffering. Frankl taught that when pain inevitably enters your life, you face a choice. You can let it crush you, or you can transform it. You can use it as fuel to help others, to grow, to deepen your understanding of life. Some of the most purpose-driven people in history were forged in fire. Survivors who became healers. Those who were lost but then guided others. Pain, when transformed, becomes one of the most powerful sources of meaning you will ever know. Younger me? I know this sounds heavy, and it is. But Frankl himself said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That is the essence of meaning. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control the story you tell about it. So here's the question you must never stop asking. What are you creating? Who are you loving? What suffering are you transforming? If you can answer those, you will never feel lost again. Think about it. When was the last time you did something that felt like contribution, not just obligation? Who in your life makes you feel truly seen, not just liked? And when pain has come, and it always does, did you use it to grow or did you let it harden you? Younger me, stop chasing happiness. It will always stay just out of reach. Instead, pursue meaning. Because when your life is meaningful, happiness is not something you need to chase. It will find you. And that brings us to the next voice you need to hear. Because even when you discover your purpose, even when you feel meaning, there is still one obstacle that will paralyze you every time. Fear. The fear of change, of risk, of the unknown. And yet, Søren Kierkegaard believed that fear itself is not your enemy. It's your doorway to freedom. Younger me, I know how much you fear change. You overthink every decision. You hesitate. You weigh every possibility until the moment has passed. You cling to the familiar, telling yourself that one day when you're finally ready, you'll take the leap. But here's the truth. You will never feel ready. And if you wait until you do, you'll wait forever. That's why Søren Kierkegaard has something you need to hear. He called it the dizziness of freedom. That feeling when you stand on the edge of something new, heart-pounding, stomach-twisting, staring into the unknown. It feels unbearable, terrifying. And most of the time, you back away. But Kierkegaard insisted that this fear isn't your enemy. It's the threshold. Younger me, think about the choices you've avoided. The job you secretly dream about but never apply for. The place you've always longed to live, but never dared to move to. The passion you've buried because you're afraid people won't understand. Every one of those dreams has been stopped by the same thing: fear of the unknown. But Kierkegaard believed that fear of the unknown is proof you're standing at the doorway of growth. There are two kinds of fear, he said. The first is instinct, the fear that warns you of danger. If a fire is burning, you don't walk into it. That fear protects you. But the second kind of fear is different. It's the fear you feel when you stand on the edge of a life you secretly long for. It doesn't signal danger. It signals transformation. And here's the secret. The only way to step into the life you were meant to live is to move through that fear. Kierkegaard called it the leap of faith. To outsiders, it looks reckless. To you, it feels impossible. But at its core, it's about trust. For some, it means trusting God. For others, it means trusting themselves. But either way, the leap is the same. It's choosing to believe that the life you're meant for exists on the other side of fear, even if you have no evidence yet. Younger me, there will come a day when the pain of staying the same will be greater than the fear of change. You'll stand at a crossroads, one path safe but suffocating, the other terrifying but alive. And in that moment, your fear will not mean stop, it will mean go. So how do you take the leap? Kierkegaard left us clues. First, recognize when you're facing a moment of transformation. If a decision excites you and terrifies you in equal measure, pay attention. That's not fear of danger. That's fear of growth. Second, don't wait for certainty. It will never come. If you demand guarantees, you will never leap. Start before you feel ready. Trust that the net will appear after you jump, not before. And third, remember this. The greatest mistake you can make is doing nothing. Kierkegaard warned, to dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Think about that. Younger me, you've been so afraid of losing your footing that you never realized the real risk was losing yourself. The leap will always feel impossible until the moment you take it, and then just like that, you'll discover you were always meant to fly. But I won't lie to you. Taking the leap doesn't guarantee instant peace. It doesn't erase struggle. What it does is open the door to a life that is actually yours. Without the leap, you will forever live in the shadow of what could have been. With the leap, you finally begin to live as who you truly are. And here's the paradox Kierkegaard understood. Freedom is terrifying. It will make you dizzy. It will make you doubt. But that dizziness, that fear is not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's a sign you're standing at the edge of everything you've ever wanted. Younger me, every time fear grips you, remember this: you're not weak, you're not broken, you're not unprepared, you're human. And fear is simply the price of stepping into your destiny. So when your hands shake, when your stomach twists, when your mind screams at you to turn back, smile, because that's how you'll know you're finally on the verge of something extraordinary. And yet, Kierkegaard's leap of faith is only part of the story. Because even if you dare to leap, even if you embrace fear as freedom, there is still another danger that can hold you hostage, living a life that doesn't fit who you truly are. That's where Carl Rogers steps in. And what he has to tell you will shatter the illusions you've built about yourself. Younger me, let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt truly free? Not just busy, not just successful, not just admired, free. I already know your answer. You can't remember, because for years, you've been living as a version of yourself designed to make other people comfortable. You've played the role. You've said the right things. You've worn the right mask. And for a while, you convinced yourself that this was who you really were. But Carl Rogers would look at you and gently say, that isn't the real you. Rogers spent his career studying what makes a life feel genuine, and he discovered something that most people never realize. The further you stray from your authentic self, the more lost you become. He called it congruence, the alignment between who you are on the inside and the life you live on the outside. When those two things match, you feel alive. When they don't, you feel restless, empty, even trapped. And younger me, that's the truth you've been running from. You've built a life that looks right on paper. The degree, the job, the responsibilities, the reputation. To the outside world, it all makes sense. But deep down, you know something isn't clicking. You keep waiting for the feeling to arrive. That sense of peace, of finally. But it never comes. Because the problem isn't that you haven't done enough. The problem is that you aren't being yourself. And here's where it gets dangerous. The longer you ignore this misalignment, the heavier it becomes. Pretending is exhausting. Saying yes to things you don't want. Showing up in places you don't belong. Smiling when you're breaking inside. Eventually, the weight of the life you've built will suffocate the life you were meant to live. So what's the way back? Rogers had an answer. And it starts with something radical. Stop censoring yourself. Think about how often you adjust your words to be acceptable. How many times you've swallowed an opinion because you didn't want to be judged. How many times you've laughed at things you didn't find funny just to fit in. Rogers would tell you, notice those moments. They're clues. If you weren't afraid of judgment, what would you really say? The second step is to pay attention to what excites you. The things that pull at you even when they don't make sense. The hobbies, the ideas, the random curiosities that light you up inside. That's your authentic self trying to get your attention. And the third, and most important, is radical self-acceptance. Rogers believed that real growth doesn't come from fixing yourself. It comes from realizing you were never broken in the first place. Younger me, I know this is hard because you've been trained your whole life to earn love, to earn approval, to earn belonging. You've been told that who you are isn't quite enough, so you keep polishing the mask. But masks don't breathe. Masks don't laugh. Masks don't laugh. The moment you strip it away, the moment you allow yourself to exist without pretending, is the moment you finally begin to feel free. Rogers said, "The good life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. That process begins the second you stop trying to be the version of yourself that everyone else wants, and start becoming the version you were always meant to be." But what if you don't even know who that is anymore? What if you've been pretending for so long that you've lost touch with yourself? Rogers would remind you, you don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to begin. Begin by noticing, by listening, by daring to take one small step toward what feels real. And here's the promise, every step you take toward authenticity will feel lighter than the last. The exhaustion will lift. The restlessness will fade. And one day you'll wake up and realize you no longer need to perform. You can just be. Younger me, there will come a point when the pretending becomes unbearable, when the applause feels hollow, when the life you've built doesn't just feel wrong, it feels like a lie. And when that moment comes, I hope you remember Rogers' words, "What I am is good enough. If only I would be it openly." Because that is the doorway to the life you've been searching for. But even once you've found authenticity, there's still one chain left to break. It's the heaviest one of all. The belief that your past defines you. The mistakes, the regrets, the failures, the voices of those who told you who you were. That's where Alfred Adler steps in. And what he teaches will hand you back the pen to rewrite your story. Younger me, the biggest lie you've ever believed is that your past defines you. That the mistakes you made, the regrets you carry, the labels people gave you, that all of it has carved a path you cannot escape. But Alfred Adler would shake his head and tell you your past is not your prison. It's just a story, and stories can be rewritten. Adler spent his life studying why people stay trapped in cycles of unhappiness, and he discovered something profound. It isn't the events of the past that hold us hostage, it's the meaning we attach to them. Think about it. Two people can live through the same setback. One says, "This proves I'm a failure." The other says, "This proves I'm resilient." The event is the same, but the story is completely different, and the story determines the future. Younger me. How many times have you repeated the same phrases in your head? I always mess things up. I'm not good enough. I'll never be happy. This is just who I am. Those aren't facts. They're scripts. Scripts you've memorized so well that you've mistaken them for truth. But they're not truth. They're habits, and habits can be broken. Adler would challenge you to ask, is this belief objectively true? Or is it just something I've told myself for so long that I believe it? If you look closely, you'll realize that most of the time, it's the latter. So, how do you rewrite your story? Adler gave us a roadmap. The first step is to challenge the narrative. Write down the beliefs you hold about yourself, the harsh ones, the limiting ones. Then ask, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me? And does it really belong to me? Often, you'll find that the voices in your head aren't yours at all. They're echoes of teachers, parents, critics, or society. And once you see that, you can begin to let them go. The second step is to look for proof of the opposite. Find even one moment that contradicts your old story. If you believe you always fail, remember the times you succeeded, even in small ways. If you believe you're unworthy, remember the people who saw your value. If you believe you're weak, remember the battles you've already survived. These moments are cracks of light in the wall of your story, and once you find them, you can begin to widen them. The third step is to act as if Adler believed that transformation comes when you start behaving as though your new story is already true. If you believed you were capable, what would you attempt? If you believed you were worthy, what would you say yes to? And what would you finally walk away from? Your actions begin to reshape your identity, and little by little, the new story becomes real. Younger me, I know what you're thinking, but my past is full of real pain, real failures, real scars. And you're right, those things happened. But Adler's answer is this: your past is a fact, but the meaning you give it is your choice. Yes, bad things happened. Yes, you made mistakes. But do they define you? Only if you decide they do. The past is not a chain around your neck. It's a book on the shelf. You can read it, you can learn from it, but you don't have to live in it. It's a place of reference, not a place of residence. And here's the part most people never realize: the pen has always been in your hand. You've just been writing the same chapter over and over. But the moment you choose to tell a different story is the moment your life truly begins. So younger me, stop saying, "This is who I am." Start asking, "Who do I want to become?" Because the answer is already within you. And every day you wake up, you have the chance to write it. Adler believed that no one is bound by who they used to be. Not yesterday, not 10 years ago, not even one moment ago. You are as free as the story you choose to tell next. So tell a better one. And now, younger me, we've reached the final moment of this journey. You've heard Jung speak of the shadow you must embrace, Maslow of the success you must outgrow, Frankl of the meaning you must discover, Kierkegaard of the fear you must face, Rogers of the self you must uncover, and Adler of the story you must rewrite. And together, all of them point to one truth: midlife is not the end. It is the beginning, the awakening, the moment you finally stop chasing life and start living it. Younger me, here we are. You've spent years believing that midlife was something to fear, that turning 40 or 50 meant time was running out, that the best chapters were already behind you. But now you know the truth. Midlife is not a crisis. It's an awakening. It's the moment the masks fall, the ladders collapse, and the applause fades, leaving only the question that matters: who are you really? Carl Jung told you that you are not just the mask you show the world, you are also the shadow you've hidden away. The doubts, the anger, the secret ambitions. He warned that if you don't face them, they will control you. But he also gave you the key. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your missing half. To be whole, you must turn toward it. Abraham Maslow reminded you that success is not the summit. You can chase promotions, titles, and approval until the day you die, but they will never give you peace. Because true fulfillment doesn't come from proving yourself. It comes from becoming yourself. Self-actualization isn't about having more. It's about being more. Viktor Frankl revealed the secret that carried him through unimaginable suffering. Happiness cannot be caught. It is not something the world hands to you. It is what emerges when you live with meaning, through work that contributes, love that connects, and even suffering that transforms. He showed you that when you can no longer change your situation, you can always change yourself. Søren Kierkegaard pointed to the one obstacle that will always stand in your way, but instead of telling you to conquer it, he gave you a new vision. Fear is not the stop sign. Fear is the threshold. The dizziness you feel at the edge of the unknown is proof that you are standing at the doorway of freedom. And the leap of faith, the choice to step into the unknown without guarantees, is how you finally begin to live. Carl Rogers reminded you that none of this matters if you're still pretending. The life that looks good on the outside but feels wrong on the inside will never satisfy you. Authenticity, congruence, is the only path to freedom. The person you are inside must finally match the life you live outside. And that begins the moment you stop censoring, stop performing, stop fixing, and start being. And Alfred Adler placed the pen back in your hand. He showed you that your past is not destiny. Your failures are not definitions. Your scars are not life sentences. They are chapters, and you get to decide what they mean. The past is a place of reference, not residence, and the story of who you become is yours to write, starting now. Younger me. All of these voices are saying the same thing: you are not broken, you are unfinished, and the life you've been searching for hasn't even begun. So stop running, stop hiding, stop chasing someone else's version of success. The awakening is here, and it doesn't come when the world finally approves of you. It comes when you finally approve of yourself. Yes, it will be terrifying. Yes, it will cost you the life you've outgrown. Yes, it will force you to face fears, shadows, and truths you've long ignored. But on the other side of all of that lies freedom. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you no longer need to perform. Imagine choosing work that feeds your soul, not just your bank account. Imagine surrounding yourself with people who see the real you, not the mask. Imagine turning your pain into purpose, your fear into faith, your past into power. Imagine younger me finally stepping into the life that was always waiting for you. This is not the end. This is the beginning, the awakening, the moment you stop chasing life and start living it. So take the shadow's hand, step off the ladder, choose meaning over applause, walk through fear's doorway, tear off the mask, pick up the pen, and remember this: midlife is not a countdown. It is your rebirth. Younger me, you are not running out of time. You are finally stepping into it.